It's now my honor and pleasure to introduce our featured speaker of the day. Daniel Harkavy doesn't have a college degree in coaching leaders. I don't know if anybody provides that. But he has built a very successful business, not on his educational background so much, but on his God-given talent, properly nurtured by his parents. This morning, he has been known to be a surfer, a husband, dad, author, and coach to international leaders. His book, Becoming a Coaching Leader, has helped thousands lead and live their lives better. Daniel is the CEO of Building Champions, based here in Lake Oswego, where their growing list of clients includes leaders from Fortune 500 companies like Chase Bank, Chick-fil-A, Pfizer, and many others. Daniel has developed a very successful career coaching leaders to be better leaders, while at the same time, he has chosen as the highest priority of his life to follow his Messiah. Please help me welcome Daniel Harkavy.
Well, good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's dark out there, so I don't know if, you're awake. It's early. Some of you might be wondering at this moment, why is this guy up here this morning? And I want to be absolutely transparent with you. For the last few months, since first being asked to present today, I've had that very same question. Why am I the guy that gets to do this? But yesterday, I was sharing this last night with a group of the sponsors that we had the opportunity to spend some time with last night. Yesterday, I spent the day in a motel room, really just praying and going through what it was that I felt like I was supposed to say today. And yesterday morning, the why behind why me today became clear, which is really good for all of you to hear. At least the guy up front now knows why he's there. I think that's important for everybody. You got up early, so we need to get that straight. And I think the reason is first and foremost because of what Good Friday means to me. And this is a significant day, a very significant day in my life. I think the second reason that I was asked is as a result of what Good Friday means to me, it has to do with what I get to do. And what I get to do day in and day out, I think puts me in a position to share some insights with all of you, regardless of where you're at, that hopefully will encourage you, that will hopefully expand your vision, that will hopefully cause you to leave here better off than when you arrived. And I got to tell you something, that's my prayer. So the way the Good Friday breakfast was positioned, the way my message was positioned was that I was going to be talking to you today about questions that are very common in the hearts of all men and women, all boys and girls. At some point, everybody wonders, what's my purpose in life? Is there a purpose? And I think deep down inside, every single one of us want to have that question answered. I think the next question that everybody asks or they ponder at some point is, what's the direction for my life? Where am I heading? Am I on the right track? And that's a question I watch a lot of the younger people in my home and those in the community. I watch them wrestle with that. Where am I supposed to be going? And then I think a question that we all ask at one time or another is, how can I be happy? I want to be more happy. This morning, my hope is that as a result of what I get to do and what I've been doing for the last couple of decades, Building Champions, this coaching company with our not-for-profit division, Ministry Coaching International, what it's afforded me to do is to have a lens into the heads and the hearts of some really brilliant leaders. some men and women that are just phenomenal. They have all of the influence, all of the affluence. They have great responsibility. And what I've noticed as a guy who gets to coach these people with my team, there's 46 of us or so now. Some of us are here. What we get to do day in and day out is we get to help these leaders through our multiple coaching offerings, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's executive retreats or workshops or our public event. We get to really understand what's going on inside of some of these men and women. And my hope is that I'll unpack some of that with you, and then I'm praying that I connect that to Good Friday breakfast and to the significance of Good Friday. So I want to talk to you leaders first, because I know there is a room filled with leaders. There's a lot of you who are leaders. If I were to look at your position description, leadership is front and center. So I'm going to be talking to you about what I've learned from some amazing leaders. And then I'm going to share with you what I've seen from leaders who are not so amazing. And for those of you who don't consider yourselves to be leaders, maybe not at this stage of life, maybe not yet, please stay with me and don't tune me out, because what I'm going to be talking about has absolute relevance to everybody, regardless of whether you are a titled leader or not. So I'm going to talk to leaders first. I'm going to then connect it and widen it open, the conversation up for everybody. My hope is that you just stay engaged with me. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to connect it all to Good Friday. At least at this stage of my talk, that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. So any of you inclined to pray? Oh, I'll keep taking it. I will. What I've known and I guess observed about exceptional leaders, what I've seen in how they think and in how they behave, the first thing that I've observed is that exceptional leaders, they see what most people don't. And this is a point that I hope connects with everybody. Leaders have clarity around where they're heading, the direction. They can see the future, and that future is better than their current reality. Their future state, it's so exciting, it's so compelling, that it causes them to make the best decisions today. It causes them to sacrifice. It causes them to push through the barriers that most people won't push through. It causes them to face failure and the fear of that, and they approach that differently than do most. And it's because they see something in the future that's so compelling. They have a belief that the best is yet to come. One of our coaches and one of my business partners, Jerry Baker, Jerry just turned 71. And Jerry is by far one of the most respected and I think cared for leaders that I've ever had the opportunity to coach. I started coaching Jerry about a decade and a half ago. And today, he's on our team. Pretty amazing to me. I mean, when people like this join our company. But at the age of 71, what I love about Jerry is I don't know if a conversation ends with Jerry where he doesn't say, "Hey, Daniel, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come." He has an absolute belief that the best is yet to come. The best leaders see that the best is yet to come. They have their eyes set. Not only can they articulate what their vision is, but they've gone to the length of writing it out. They write out, this is what you belong to. This is who we're going to become in every aspect of our business. And this is what we're going to build. They make the invisible visible. And with that kind of hope, with that kind of faith, with that type of clarity, they make better decisions. They walk forward more confidently. They're not continually responding to the challenges and the battles that present themselves day in and day out, that all of us face. That compelling vision pulls them forward. So they've got their direction set. These exceptional leaders, they are crystal clear on their purpose. They know what the purpose, the unique purpose is of their organization. And the purpose is always bigger than the product that they make or the service that they provide. I want to share something with you. One of our our clients that we just love doing business with. All of our clients we love doing business with. I know there's some of you in the room, and we love you. About 13 years ago, I had the opportunity to make my first trip to Chick-fil-A in Atlanta. Now, how many of you would consider yourself customers of Chick-fil-A? Show of hands. All right, there's a few of you, which is more than I expected. Most in the room are going, Chick-fil-A, like, isn't that like some fried chicken place? Well, if you read any of the business reviews, if you've done any travel throughout the country, what you'll understand about Chick-fil-A is that they have this amazing, phenomenal culture. Their business is chicken sandwiches. Their founder, 93 years old, Truett Cathy, he never talks about the business being chicken sandwiches. First time I stepped foot on the campus of Chick-fil-A in Georgia, I walked up to the front door, and to the right of the front door is this big stone. And on the top of the stone, this is what's engraved. Our mission is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and to have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. Their purpose is to have a positive influence in the lives of everybody that walk through their restaurants. Now, what you may not know about Chick-fil-A, it just was out in the news just 2 weeks ago. Chick-fil-A, with just a fraction of the restaurants, they actually do more business than Kentucky Fried Chicken, a global organization. What you may not know about Chick-fil-A is that Chick-fil-A, they outperform every franchise restaurant by a massive multiple. What you may not know about Chick-fil-A is that they're at a disadvantage if you were to just look at the economics or the numbers, because they're only open 6 days a week. 60, 70,000 associates. Average age of their staff, teenagers. Harvard Business Review writes about them. Businesses go in and study them. The financial economics of that organization, every business leader would love to mirror. Amazing organization. Truett Cathy's purpose, it's not about making great chicken sandwiches. That leader has clarity around that purpose, and he talks about it, as does his son, Dan, who's now the CEO, as do his grandkids. There's 18 of them, Gen 3. They all talk about that purpose, and they're crystal clear on it. So let's talk about what happens when you have direction and you have purpose. When you as a leader possess clarity around your direction and your purpose, what happens is your confidence increases. Your confidence increases because you see the future and you're crystal clear on why you're here. And if you think about it, business leaders, everybody's coming in to your organization, and they have the option to return the next day. It's up to us to lead in ways that cause them to believe and to see that our future is brighter as a result of them following you. Leaders with that clarity, they have confidence, they have passion. They care about their people. They understand that the asset is the people. And they move forward with confidence in the face of all adversity. They move forward with confidence. They move forward with care. They move forward with heart because they understand why they're here. Now, flip side, leaders that don't have that. Leaders that don't have that true north set, that don't see the direction, that aren't crystal clear on their purpose, they're continually reacting and responding to the challenges and the opportunities that present themselves each and every day. So, to show you what this looks like, a leader who's got his course set, who's clear on his vision, he's marching forward. He sees his direction. It makes it super easy for everybody on the team to get in line and to follow. It makes it super easy for everybody to come alongside and make that vision bigger. In comparison to the leader that doesn't have that stuff set, problem, opportunity, crisis, greatest opportunity, how I feel, fear, all of that. They're continually moving direction to direction. And if you've got people that are trying to follow you, what you have is like an interstate pileup. Right? We as leaders need to make it easy for our teammates to follow us. Vision and purpose are required. Now, does vision and purpose equate to or guarantee happiness? No. But I guarantee you, from what I've seen, as a result of the work that I get to do in these organizations, where the leader has a direction that is worth following and they're clear on it, and where they have a purpose that's worth sacrificing for, the people in those organizations, oh, they're happier. And the reason they're happier is because they're clear on their why. They know that they're connected to something bigger than just the buck. They're there to do something that's bigger than what they just see in their 6x6 cubicle. Everyone on the team matters. Everybody plays a critical role. Everybody. So are they happier? Ask them. They are. But I'm not here today to tell you that the pursuit of happiness is what we should be after. Let me shift gears. Let me get off the business leader conversation, and now let me talk life. Vision, purpose, and happiness for the rest of you. Anybody who is alive, which is most of you, is what I want to talk about now. When we get called into crisis work, when we're working with leaders who've got the strategy, they've got the plans, they've got the smarts, but things are falling apart. Most of the time, things are falling apart because in their stage of life, whether it's 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, average age of our clients is somewhere in that range. What's causing them problems is they got off track in life. I can't tell you how many leaders that I've sat face-to-face with in very trusting conversations have shared that they struggle with deep depression. One individual, a leader of a massive organization, global, shared with me that for 30 years he had cried most Sundays and Mondays, dark depression. Runs an international, global Fortune 500 company. Leaders with addictions, medicating to deal with pain, to deal with hopelessness. Leaders, countless leaders with broken relationships, 50s, 60s, regret after regret. As a result of them not being clear on direction and clear on purpose in life. They had the business thing figured out, but they didn't have the life thing figured out. So this is where this part of the conversation applies to everybody. From the youngest of young, I think my 10-year-old daughter's in the room. I know she's in the room, but I think she's the youngest in the room. You're here, baby. Emily, I got you. I think this vision and purpose thing is relevant for somebody at that age, all the way on up to my beautiful parents and my mother-in-law, who are older than Emily. I won't say where. We've got to have clarity and vision for our lives, and we have to be crystal clear on our purpose, and we have to believe that the best is yet to come. If we believe the best is behind us, then the way we're living in fear, we're living in past regret. If we don't believe the best is yet to come, if we don't have a hope for the future, we will stop taking risks, we will stop moving forward, we will stop working to make a difference. And I think we were designed and created to continually grow and to be difference makers, each and every one of us. Every one of our clients, the first thing we walk them through is life planning. And life planning is foundational because we believe as an organization, self-leadership always precedes team leadership. I've got a book coming out the beginning of next year on life planning, and I'm passionate about it. The scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures tell us that the plans of a man's heart are deep waters, but a man of understanding draws them out. The Hebrew scriptures tell us that in Psalms, teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Most people don't believe it. They don't believe that their days are numbered. They don't believe that there's a unique plan for their life in their heart, and they need to fully live it out. What life planning is about is looking at every area of your life and putting an intentional plan together that will enable you to have a vision, a hope for each area of your life that is greater than current reality, and to be crystal clear on your purpose, what unique role you play in each area of your life, and then create actions that will enable you to fill your days with more of the right things. It sets that direction, clarifies that purpose, and it guarantees that your days will be filled with more intentionality, more proactive decisions and actions in comparison to reactive and hopeful. The reason people get derailed, people inside the church, people outside the church, is because they haven't taken the time to really look at every area of their life that matters to them and to set that vision. At the age 75, what do you see for those of you who are in your less than 70s? What do you see for your marriage? You know, I look at my beautiful bride, the gal that I've had my eyes on since we were 11, married now for going on 26 years. And what I see for us, approaching 50 this year, at the age 75, we sit together, we enjoy a life of intimacy, romance, and fun, a life of purposefulness and intentionality. She is my best friend. There is nobody that I would rather spend. There is nobody that I would rather spend time with. She's worth sacrificing for. I have to see that because I'm an idiot. And in my days, when the crises and the opportunities come up, if I don't remember where I'm headed in that account in my life, she'll get leftovers. She's got to be worth sacrificing for. My beautiful family, I can clearly see what I want for us in the future, for each one of my kids, for the kids that get to live with us, for my teammates, all aspects of my life that I play a unique role in. I have a different purpose, and that purpose, it's for me and for me alone. The purpose I play, the purpose I live out, the role I play in each of their lives, the role I play in my health, my spiritual account, relationship with God, I alone am responsible for how I think, the actions that I take, the decisions that I make. In life, we get off track because we don't clearly see what could be in all aspects of our life in the future. We're not clear on our purpose. So what most people do is they pursue what screams at us most loudly. What we do is we spend our time focusing on what provides us with a bit of self-esteem. It helps to form our identity. And I'm telling you from what I've seen, that pursuit of happiness equates to misery. I'm not saying growing professionally is bad. Oh no, work to please an audience of one. And I'm not saying that going out there and making money is bad. Oh no, absolutely not. Be a steward of what you've been given. It provides you all sorts of opportunities to give. Those who do best in business and in life, they've got their direction set, they're crystal clear on their purpose, and as a result of that, I think that the way they live and the way they lead, it's from a position of passion. It's from a position of purposefulness, intentionality, confidence, much less fear, much more boldness. For God's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. I think that that's the key difference maker. When you're crystal clear on your vision, when you're crystal clear on your purpose, you are best positioned to love everybody around you in ways that are just absolutely unique. You're not worried about all the things. You're clear on where you're going. Live the life that God's planned for you. The plans of a man's heart are deep waters. Your plans are different than my plans. Our mission, the same. But the plans and how we live it out, much different. I was thinking about this for the young people in the room, and I just always love telling them, don't buy the lie that you have to go out and get a job because it's going to pay you well. Yes, we need to make money in order to sustain in this culture. Absolutely, and we have since the beginning of time. But follow the plans that are in your heart. What brings you to life? Where can you see a future that excites you? Where can you get excited about doing something that makes a significant difference? And it's the path for you and you alone. You do that, and you do that with excellence. The world will figure out how to reward you for it. How does all of this connect to Good Friday? Good Friday, for me, is an absolute game changer. I'm aware of the fact that there are probably 3 camps in this very large room. And I know many of you do not want to be stereotyped, so just go with me on this and give me a little bit of grace. I think the first camp are those who came to the Good Friday breakfast knowing what Good Friday is and knowing that it had to do with this Messiah Christ guy and he died, but the God thing and the Messiah thing, you don't believe it and you don't need it. But you're here, which means that maybe you're interested in learning more. Maybe you're curious. Either that or somebody invited you and you just didn't want to let them down, or you didn't want to get fired or something, or maybe you wanted a free breakfast and it was good. So maybe that's that camp, okay? And I'll speak to you if that's your camp. The second camp are the people that believe. You know, they believe the story of the Bible, and they believe that everything in it is true, but they haven't fully surrendered. They're not enjoying the horsepower that comes from living God's plan for your life. Instead, you're still wrestling, trying to live your plan for your life. You're in the journey. You believe, but you haven't fully surrendered. And then the third camp is a group of people that say, Daniel, I believe, and I know that book, and I follow, and I do all sorts of good works, and I am involved, and I am living God's plan. And my hope is to speak to you as well. So let's start with that first camp, and I'm going to connect it all to purpose, direction, and maybe not the pursuit of happiness, but love. At the age of 22, I moved from the first camp of not believing, not needing, to that second camp, believing. Jewish kid, both of my beautiful parents Jewish, whole family Jewish. Grew up in Southern California. I was always very money motivated. My life, the first 22 years was interesting. It was probably very much like many of yours. It wasn't perfect, but I was blessed. Probably more blessed than I was aware of. But I had challenges. And the way that I was living, none of you in the room would say, Daniel was a godlike guy. Okay? I was a surfer, still am, partier, looking for pleasure and happiness in all the wrong places. And I was Jewish, and I knew that. And there weren't a lot of Jewish people in my immediate community. And there were all sorts of these Jesus freaks in my community. And these were people from my girlfriend at the time who would love me and then leave me so that she could be more Christ-like, more holy. And there was always a battle, and she and I fought for years. She was always asking me, hey, what is it about Judaism that, makes you believe in that? And I never could really give a good answer. And my sweet mother-in-law would tell me she was praying for me. And then there would be friends and others that would always say, hey, what's being Jewish mean to you? Strangers would paddle up to me in the water and say, hey, do you know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior? And I'd go, get away from me, man. I'm chosen. I'm chosen. But I didn't know what that meant. Like, I'm chosen for what? Like, for you freaky people to come talk to me. And so I got to a place in my life where I just wanted to understand the Hebrew Scriptures. And the book that impacted me most was the book of Isaiah. Isaiah, this prophet, this guy that has vision for the future. And his purpose is to illuminate the path for everybody of that time. This is written 700 to 800 years before Christ ever enters the scene. This is right out of the Hebrew Scriptures, which I had. I had Hebrew Bibles, not the Christian Bibles. So I started reading Isaiah. And Isaiah 9:6, the first thing that really rocked me was in here. It said, For to us a child is born. A child is born. A son is given. A son, a male child. And he's going to be given. And the government shall be on his shoulder, and his name shall be called, this was interesting for me, Wonderful Counselor, mighty God, capitalized. A child is going to be born, and he's going to be a boy, and he's going to be given to us, and we're going to call him mighty God. Well, that doesn't work in my brain, because God is God. God is not boy. At least I didn't see it then. Everlasting Father, everlasting, forever lasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Interesting. That rocks me. And then I continue to read in Isaiah, and then I read Isaiah 53. But he was wounded for our transgressions. Oh, I'm sorry, let me start up at the top. Who has believed what he has heard from us, and to the arm of the Lord has been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, and like a root out of dry ground. A root out of dry ground. For any of us who have spent time in the desert, roots don't grow in the dry ground. Maybe cactus, but that's about it. And he had no form or majesty that we should look at him. He had no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. He wasn't this like powerful, strong King David type leader. No, Isaiah is telling us, keep your eyes on the alert. Look out for this guy. And here's why. Because he has borne our griefs. He's carried our sorrows. We esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. And upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And with his stripes, we are healed. This guy's going to be beaten, crushed, destroyed, and we're going to get healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, and we've turned every one to his own way. And the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. We've all gone our own way. I've gone my own way, but the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to slaughter, and like a sheep that before his shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. So wait a minute. In 9:6, it says that he's going to be a child, and he's going to be a son, and he's going to be called Mighty God. Mighty God. And here, he's not going to show us what we as men want to see in mighty God. Like, just wipe away those people that are beating you, spitting on you, hanging you, crucifying you. You've got the power, you're mighty God. No, keep your eyes on the lookout. 750 years before this scene ever takes, 800 years before this scene ever takes place, be on the lookout. Later on, it says that he was cut off out of the land of the living, stricken for the transgression of my people. He had done no violence. There was no deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the will of the Lord to crush him. He has put him to grief when his soul makes an offering for guilt. And then it says, the will of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. And later, because he poured out his soul to death and was numbered with the transgressors, yet he bore the sin of many and makes intercession for the transgressors. So let me kind of take you through the logic, as I am at the age 22, Jewish kid, everybody asking me about the Messiah. I'm Jewish, but I was never really in tune to God. Like, I didn't know what I believed. So I went through this kind of logical process, sitting by myself. Great career, things are good. Living in my own home, fancy cars, on my way to accomplish my goals. And I'm studying this, and I just asked myself a series of questions. Do I believe in God? Well, if I don't, then it means everything's random accident. If there wasn't a creator, then there's no purpose. And as I look around at the world and life and people and how we operate, I have to think there's purpose. I have to think there's a creator. All right, so then do I believe in the God of this book, the Hebrew Scriptures? Well, yeah, I do. Because you know what? A lot of what this talks about, the Israelites, the Jewish people, the demographics, the geography, the history, it's all there today. This makes sense to me. All right, then do I believe that like a sheep I've gone my own way? Oh, absolutely, I've gone my own way. I mean, am I a guy that lives for God? No. Am I a guy that follows the methods described in the Hebrew Scriptures for sin, for atonement? What is told is that I'm supposed to be like slaughtering bulls and rams and goats and lambs and birds, and there's going to be a whole blood fest. And in Southern California, in LA, I could only imagine what would have happened if, like, my neighbors saw me and I got all sorts of animals coming in and blood and smoke and not good. So no, I'm not doing what was required of me for this atonement. And the thing about the Hebrew Scriptures is it said that I needed to be doing it forever. And I wasn't doing it, and I wasn't seeing it being done. So I'm just going through this. It's like, oh gosh. So do I need a Messiah to make atonement, to get me from where I am to have real relationship with God? And it was like, yeah, I do. I believe that. Do I believe that the Messiah is this guy that all these people call Jesus? Man, he fits the bill of Isaiah. 800 years before, this Jesus guy, this cross, this mighty God, all of this, it fits. I'm sitting there by myself and I'm going, oh no, what does that mean for you, Daniel? I believe. I'm now one of you. I'm a Jesus freak, right? Well, you need to know something. As a Jewish person, it doesn't feel right. You feel like a traitor. But there was something welling up inside of me to where I just believed it was absolutely true. So I told some people about it. And at the age 22, I started living it out. Camp 2. I want to talk to you for a minute. That was my journey through Camp 1. Camp 2 is, I believe, but I've not fully surrendered. And all I'll tell you is that this Bible says in John 10:10, it says that Jesus, he says, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Good Friday today. For all of you in Camp 2, you believe, but you haven't fully surrendered. You haven't turned your life over. You're not fully living in the faith, the boldness, taking the risks. He came to give us abundant life, not a life of rules, not a life of confinement, but for us to become fully alive and live lives that are attractive, that cause the world to say, I want what you have. The effect that we need to have on everybody is that when we leave them, they're grateful they had an interaction with us. Not because we're so great, but because the one who operates in us is so great. What effect do you have on those around you? Not just those that you do ministry with and your nice Sunday stuff. What effect do you have on those that you play a very unique role in their lives? What effect do you have on your wives, your husbands, your kids, your neighbors, your teammates, your friends? Living God's plan means fully surrendering and taking a step of faith. It is a game changer. My game changer happened at the age 30. I was at a Promise Keeper event. I had a very successful career going in banking. I'd been there for 10 years. Succession plan was that I would be the next CEO of that organization. At Promise Keepers, God just absolutely says, Daniel, you're chasing the wrong God. You're worshiping the wrong things. And you don't get to just cut back. I want you to quit. And I heard that. Like, it was audible for me. Which for some of you is like freaky. Okay, the guy hears things. Well, not all the time, but I'm telling you, that time I heard. I go back after this 10-year career. I'm doing very, very well, living the life that I'd wanted to live from the financial side. Tell my bride I'm out, I'm done. She says, awesome. I resign. That takes me to a 1-year sabbatical. We moved from Southern California up here to Oregon. And a year later, I opened the doors to Building Champions, a business that I'm completely passionate about. I get to use the plans that God's put in my heart. I get to work with amazing people day in and day out. And the journey has been phenomenal. Phenomenal. But sometimes in Camp 2, we've got to take some significant risk. And you can take significant risk. You can step out in faith because you've got your direction set. You understand your purpose. You know how the story's going to end. And what I would say is if you're living in the bondage of have to, if you're living in the bondage of you don't get to, if you're living in the bondage of question and doubt, I'm just going to say fully surrender. Your morning time routines are everything. The way you get to live in this is, in Isaiah 9:6, he says he's going to be called Mighty Counselor. That's the Holy Spirit. Every day you get to wake up, you get to start your day off understanding what relationships looks like, studying this, praying and talking and communicating, and asking, Lord, how are you going to use me today? Help me to become more like you day in and day out. You Camp 3 people. You Camp 3 people who have been believing for a long time, and your Christian resume is beautiful. I'm going to ask you, are you fully alive? Here's a question. Do kids like hanging out with you? Think about it. What we understand about Jesus is kids dug hanging out with him. Why? Jesus didn't bring happiness. He brought love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, all the fruit that we have the ability to tap into. So you camp 3 people. You know it intellectually, you believe it, you're living God's plan. Is there a possibility that you're coasting? You know, one of the greatest visuals that God gave me years ago was the light switch on the heart. I see people and they've got this light switch right here. And right now you're all like, what's he looking at? Yeah, your chest. Appropriately. Light switch. And that light switch is either down or it's somewhere between down and up. And my prayer day in and day out is that as I interact with people, God will use me in whatever interaction, with whomever. Just, Lord, please use me to be the guy that just pushes that light switch up just a bit. What's your effect on people? Not what you say, but your personhood. You pushing the switches up or you pushing the switches down? Because you know what? Very rarely do we ever leave switches neutral. Up or down. My daily prayer almost every morning, Lord, please help me to see people as you see them. Help me to love them as you love them. Help me to serve them so that you get glory. And at the end of the day, may I lay my head down exhausted, knowing that I have spent my day striving to please you and you alone. You can't go wrong with that. You just can't go wrong with that. Now, all sorts of little cheat sheets and tools. You know, my kids will tell you that I carry this iPhone around, and when I go into a restaurant or I go to a place of business, I pull out my iPhone because I'm a little dense up here. I pull out that iPhone and I look at a list of names. Who's the barista? Who's the server? Who's the front desk clerk? Who's the flight attendant? Who are the people that I need to know because I want to walk in and I want to call them by name? I want them to know they matter. I want in my interaction with whomever, oh Lord, please may it be pushing the light switch up. And if there's some of you out there right now and my life has not done that, I got friends in the room that I've been doing life with for at least 18 years. And I got family longer. If my effect has been neutral or down, oh, please forgive me. That is not my heart. So where do we go from here? It's Good Friday. If you're in that first camp and you want to live fully alive and you want that direction set, that eternal direction set, what we celebrate is God's love for us. He so loved us that he gave his only begotten Son, so that whomever shall believe shall not perish but have everlasting life. Life eternal. And once that gets set, well, then your purpose is just to love, to share, and to be about bringing him glory. And you do that however he has wired you. Whether that means that you're serving food, leading an organization, changing diapers, training up them kids, whether you're leading a ministry, whether you're building something with your hands, whether you're creating something with your minds, whatever you're doing, you do it with passion, knowing that he's using you to move the light switch up and to bring the truth and the reality of his Son and eternal life with him, the greatest hope for all. He's using you. And it's a plan that is much more significant than any plan that any man could create on his own. The scriptures tell us if that's what you want, all you need to do are 2 things. You need to believe in your heart, and you need to confess with your mouth. And I couldn't stand up here and share a little of my story and the reality of Good Friday without making sure that if there are any of you that are in that first camp, that you've wondered, you've questioned, and you want that heaven thing locked down. You want to know that you're going to have eternity set. We were designed to have relationship with God forever, the one who created us, who loves us so much so that he sent this Son of his, as stated in Isaiah, for a specific purpose. And that purpose was to save you and me and to give you and me life abundantly, full tilt, fully alive. Then you believe and you confess. So I'm going to close our morning out here with my part, and I'm going to pray with you. And if this resonates with you, to yourself, repeat it. There's no magic to it. And for those of you who are in Camp 2 or 3, my hope is that today you have a greater vision of how you can be used, of how you can love, of how you can walk with more confidence, more faith, make a greater difference because your direction's set, your purpose is crystal clear. Pursuit of happiness? Oh, I'm not guaranteeing that. Not a life of happiness. There's suffering, there's challenge, there's sacrifice. But I am guaranteeing a life of intentionality and a life of impact, coupled with a life of joy and peace. And there's nothing better than that. Father God, thank you. Thank you for today. Lord, on my own, I know, prior to coming into relationship with you, I was a sinner. And I believe with all of my heart in what took place today, and more importantly, what happens on Sunday, Easter, where you brought the dead to life in your Son. Lord, you are the one who creates miracles. You are the one who first loved us. And Lord, I want my life to be completely surrendered to you. I believe, I want to follow, and I ask that my life would be used to bring you glory. May you be the one that gets the fame. Lord, may I live for you fully, unabashedly, unashamed. Lord, I thank you today. If anyone has prayed that, Lord, I thank you for the work that you're doing here. And Lord, I am so grateful for the opportunity to be in this room, a room filled with my family, friends, Lord, teammates, clients, and people that I have not yet met. Thanks for bringing us all here. May you be the one that gets the fame and the glory. I thank you, Lord. You are Yeshua, Messiah, and Savior. And I thank you. Amen. Flip light switches up.
Thank you, Daniel.